Hello everyone, and welcome back to our series where we dive deep into some of the most dramatic and impactful stories ever told. Today, we're tackling a story that's filled with passion, power, betrayal, and ultimately, a profound lesson. We're talking about King David, a man often described as being after God's own heart. And the moment his life took a dark and complicated turn. This is the story of David and Bathsheba. To really understand the weight of this event, we need to remember who David was at this point. He wasn't just some king. He was the king. He had gone from a humble shepherd boy to a giant-slaying hero, and then to the celebrated ruler of Israel. His life was a testament to faith, courage, and divine favor. The people loved him, and he had consolidated his kingdom, bringing peace and prosperity. He was at the absolute peak of his power, a living legend. It's from this incredible height that his fall becomes so shocking and so tragic. The story begins on a warm evening in Jerusalem. It's springtime, a time when kings typically go off to war. But David, for some reason, decides to stay behind in his palace while his army, led by his general Joab, is out besieging a city. One evening, unable to sleep, David takes a walk on the roof of his palace. From this high vantage point, he can see into the courtyards of the homes below, and that's when he sees her. He sees a woman of incredible beauty bathing. This woman is Bathsheba. Now, David could have looked away. He could have gone back inside, respected her privacy, and moved on with his night. But he didn't. Instead, he was captivated. This is where the first major misstep happens. He allows his gaze to linger, and that gaze turns into lust. He doesn't just admire her from a distance. He feels a powerful desire to possess her. Driven by this impulse, he sends a messenger to find out who she is. The messenger returns with a crucial piece of information. She is Bathsheba, the daughter of Eliam, and the wife of Uriah the Hittite. Notice that she is the wife of Uriah the Hittite. Uriah was not just some random citizen. He was one of David's most loyal and elite soldiers, a man who was at that very moment on the front lines, fighting and risking his life for his king and his country. This information should have been a massive stop sign for David, but his desire had now clouded his judgment completely. Ignoring all moral and ethical boundaries, David sends for Bathsheba. She is brought to the palace, and he sleeps with her. It's a staggering abuse of power. He's a king, using his authority to satisfy a personal desire, regardless of the consequences for others. Soon after, a message arrives for David from Bathsheba, and it contains just 5 words that change everything. I am with child. Suddenly, David's private sin is about to become a public scandal. He's facing a crisis. Instead of confessing and seeking forgiveness, David's mind immediately shifts to cover-up mode. He thinks if he can just get Uriah to come home from the battle and spend a night with his wife, everyone will assume the child is Uriah. It's a deceptive and manipulative plan. So, he summons Uriah from the battlefield under the pretense of getting a war report. Uriah, the loyal soldier, comes at once. David asks him about the war, about the general, about the troops, and then tells him, "Go down to your house and wash your feet." It was a subtle way of saying, "Go home, relax, and be with your wife." David even sends a gift of food after him to encourage the romantic reunion. But Uriah doesn't go home. Instead, he sleeps at the entrance to the palace with the king's servants. When David finds out, he's stunned. He asks Uriah, "Why didn't you go home?" And Uriah's response is one of the most honorable and heartbreaking speeches in the entire narrative. He says, "The ark and Israel and Judah are staying in tents, and my commander Joab and my lord's men are camped in the open country. How could I go to my house to eat and drink and be with my wife?" "As surely as you live, I will not do such a thing." Uriah's integrity, his loyalty to his comrades, and his duty, stands in stark contrast to David's selfishness. He is so honorable, he can't even comprehend taking personal comfort while his friends are at war. David's first plan has failed, so he tries again. He invites Uriah to eat and drink with him, and he gets him drunk, hoping that in his drunken state, Uriah will stumble home to his wife. But even then, Uriah's sense of duty holds firm. He again goes and sleeps with the king's servants. David's desperation grows. The cover-up is failing, and his sin is on the verge of being exposed. This is where the story takes its darkest turn. David moves from lust and deception to cold-blooded murder. He writes a letter, seals it, and gives it to Uriah to carry. Think about that for a moment. He makes Uriah the messenger of his own death warrant. The letter is addressed to his general, Joab, and the instructions are chillingly clear: put Uriah out in front where the fighting is fiercest. Then withdraw from him so he will be struck down and die. Joab, ever the loyal but morally flexible servant to his king, follows the orders. He places Uriah in a position of extreme danger during the siege. And just as David planned, Uriah the Hittite is killed in battle. To make the act seem less targeted, several other soldiers die with him. When the news reaches David, he sends a message back to Joab, telling him not to worry, saying the sword devours one as well as another. He's trying to normalize the death, to treat it as just another casualty of war. With Uriah gone, David waits for Bathsheba's period of mourning to end. And then he brings her into his house, and she becomes his wife. On the surface, it looks like the king is graciously taking in the widow of a fallen hero. The cover-up appears complete. David thinks he's gotten away with it. But the final sentence of this part of the story is the most important. But the thing David had done displeased the Lord. David may have fooled the people, but he couldn't fool God. His descent was complete from a man of God to a man who let lust lead him to adultery, deception, and murder. It sets a powerful warning about how unchecked desire and the abuse of power can corrupt even the best of us. But this isn't the end of the story. The consequences are coming, and they will be severe, reshaping David's life and his kingdom forever. We'll explore that next time. Thanks so much for watching. If you found this story as compelling as I do, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit